I'm happy to be here and happy to be talking. I think I'm the only person here giving lessons in business to people who all have business degrees when I don't have anything. But that's okay. I've always had a scheme going ever since I was 17. I've always had something on the go. So we're here tonight to talk about the farm and self-evident, what's all around you and where it came from. We'll talk about. It was about 30 years ago that we bought a piece of land here, and it was a barley field, and everything you see around us is what I've got to so far. We'll continue, and unless something goes wrong, it'll be bigger, it'll be better, and we'll constantly strive to expand upon the ideas which are never in short supply. When I was 17, I was picking Saskatoons in Fish Creek Park with my sister. And I said, someday we should just put them in an orchard and grow these, and whatever you think about can become reality. So I guess I was thinking about that, and when I was about 30, we bought this farm. I'm 60 now. So who knows what it'll be like when I'm 90. So I have to consult these notes occasionally, but I speak better from the heart than I do from notes, but I do have notes. But I took a seminar years ago, and it was one of those touchy-feely seminars, which I found out when I got there, not before. But it was good, and we went through these exercises to try to distill who you are as a person and what your ideology is and everything. And mine was, after a week of exercises, you distill it down to a statement, which was to have my complete freedom and to express my ideas to the absolute delight of others. So I guess that's what the farm is. It's just nothing I enjoy more than building things and taking and getting my hand shook by people going, wow, that looks awesome, that's great, and that's very satisfying for me. And I guess that's, in some ways, what keeps me going. Anyways, we're going to talk about a couple little ideas and some of the things that I think about. One of them is that I think a lot of business people coming up the ladder, so to speak, have a lot of fear about manifesting their ideas. I never had that, and I always just did what I felt was right and didn't hesitate. And I mean, not that you did it casually and didn't think about what you're doing, but I always said, hey, that's great, I'm going to do that. If it doesn't turn out so well, then we stop. And there's nothing sophisticated about a lot of what you see around you has just been intuition and hard work, and we just did it, and there's no grand scheme or grand plan. We just move forward. I've always been kind of baffled why there isn't more entrepreneurs out there. I think it's equally baffling why educational institutions and things don't promote entrepreneurship as a business option. It's always academia or trades, but just true entrepreneurship is never really touted as a career option, which I think is disappointing and, like I said, a bit baffling. I've always believed that the only way you can learn to do something is by failing. And you don't have to fail miserably, but you just have to fail. And failing miserable is not something else. But I think that that's how we learn. And our educational system teaches us that failing is wrong and there's something wrong with you if you fail. But for the last 10,000 years, if you failed, you've successfully identified something not to do, and you learn from that. And I think that's a bad message from the educational system. I think that failing is a good thing, and in our society, failing is a bad thing, and that keeps and holds people back, I think. I always believe that you have to be confident in your ideas and move forward, and once you're committed to an idea, then you have to fulfill that idea. So once I've committed to building this building, then we just build it. And if it goes over budget or doesn't work out exactly as planned, that doesn't slow us down. We just keep going. It gives you even more energy to complete the idea and make it work. Failure is not an option, sort of thing. Then 20 years ago or so, I found this quote from this German philosopher, Goethe, I think his name was, and it was a great philosophy, which was that, and I don't know it verbatim, but it's, unless you are committed, there is hesitancy, a chance to draw back. And that is what, when you're fully committed, then providence moves also, is what the quote was about. That once you're fully committed, then all kinds of things will come forward and help you achieve your goals. But only when you're fully committed. As long as you haven't burned the bridge, then you're not fully committed. And that's that full commitment that really spurs me onward anyways. And there's nothing like commitment like financial debt. That's, a very good commitment. The fear of humiliation, another good commitment. A fear of people saying, I told you so. I got lots of the old farmers around here who were all my friends. They had bets on me when I moved here about how long I would last. The city boy out here planting some Saskatoons, what a crazy notion. But I took great pleasure now in having the last laugh, and that's true story. I mean, because one of those guys works for me now. And people always used to say I'm so unorganized, and my employees sometimes said to me, you're so unorganized. And I said, well, how come you're working for me then? I mean, I'm unorganized, yes, I admit that. But I'm not unorganized enough to build the Saskatoon farm. I'm not organized in their traditional ways, or I don't have all my tools outlined on a pegboard. My tools are in a pile, but I can find my wrench faster than the other guy. And it's just a different way of doing things. But I'm very spontaneous. I'm an idea person. I'm not very, I do everything by intuition. That's just the way I operate. And that's one of my business lessons, I think, is that I think that there's opportunities everywhere, and you just got to see that opportunity and take it, and this restaurant is one of those, I mean, we had a garden center, and I decided to build this restaurant because our little pie and coffee area was always so busy, not knowing that now this is one of our main profit centers. Even though we're a garden center out in the middle of the country, if I'd gone to a lending not service, but another lending institution 30 years ago and said, I want to build a restaurant out in the middle of the prairie and whatever, they would have just, you got one of those, I'm sure. But one of the reasons I ended up meeting Janice and everything was for something along that line where just people were uncooperative financially, and we need to have the freedom to express our ideas, and the only way we can do that is by spending money, and hopefully we pay it back. Anyways, my biggest challenge from the very beginning was just, should I buy this property? Because I certainly wasn't qualified to buy this property when I bought this property, in experience or financially. But I wrangled it somehow, went through a couple of lending institutions, and kind of manipulated myself into a situation where someone finally said, yeah, that sounds like a reasonable idea. And the rest is history, and it was very hard for the first few years. Worked very hard. A lot of what you see around you is just perseverance and hard work. I mean, I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker, but it's true. I mean, 18 hours a day for 7 days a week for 10 years can get you lots, but that's the commitment thing again, My parents were crying when I first bought this property with Karen. We came here and took them, and they just shook their heads and thought, oh man, what a challenge. But yeah, now it's very exciting, and everyone comes here and sees all the trees, and I get a steady stream of people coming and shaking my hand and going, oh, what a great job you're doing, or whatever, and that's very satisfying. And one of the things they always talk about too is how great my employees are, who provide a high level of service and are just so great to everybody around them. And that really, says a lot, I think, to me about how it is to work as a team, and we do work as a team. We don't have job descriptions hardly. Everybody just sort of works together, and I help you, you help me, and it's a great gig, really, and I'm really happy to be part of that. Even though it's my thing, it's wonderful to my friends or my employees, and I walk over my long commute 100 yards from my house is great every morning, and I still wake up in the morning, my eyes open, and I go, I got stuff to do, and I better get over here, and it feels good to do that, and when that stops, it'll be different, but right now, I just love being on the job, I love being here. Especially great when you're the boss and you don't have to shovel the gravel anymore or move those heavy trees. I can just say, put those over there and put those over there, and it's much nicer that way. But I've earned that right, I've done a lot of that. So we have a varied operation, as you see. Not everything is as profitable as it appears. Sometimes we do things to attract people. If I can get 1,000 people a day here, and everybody spends $10, that's $10,000 a day. And that's the philosophy I have. Sometimes we have to do things like our vegetables, for instance. We do 5 acres of vegetables. I think it's a wash. Costs a lot to do. We don't make much money on the vegetables, but boy, does it attract people. And is it ever nice to be able to tell people we use our own vegetables in the restaurant. We grow our own food here. It's local, it's organic. This was in the garden this morning, and now you're having it for lunch. And people just love that, and it is a great thing. Life's too short to eat crappy food. That's very true. The whole place kind of runs on positive energy, I think. We have a really good energy here, and that's the best part for me. And sometimes you get an employee or a team member. It's a modern way of saying it. But yeah, and they don't have that, and you have to get rid of those people. And it's rare that I get rid of someone. Most of them, I would say 80% of my employees are long-term employees. Yeah. And it's a great thing to work with people for a long period of time, and yeah, and I don't pay them enough. That's good and bad. But it's really a wonderful position to be in to have that. Someone told me once there's three reasons, the top 3 reasons for working. Number 3 is money. Number 2 is acknowledgement of your ideas. And number 1 is being part of something. Making a contribution is the number 1 reason why people get satisfaction and want to work. Not money. It's like, yeah, let's do this thing. And people feel the energy that Karen and I have and what we're doing here, and they just join in and want to be part of that. And it really comes across to the customers. And our customers constantly come and tell Karen and I what a great place we got here. But the second, after they finish saying that, they say, man, your staff is great. The people in the cafe are great. The people in the garden center are great. The people at the front desk are great. And that's a really big compliment to me, I think, because it just sort of says that they're happy and they're helping me. And, I'm the first one to admit I don't express my gratitude enough to those people who help me get there, because they're really how it all comes. I just provide the ideas and the energy, and they make it happen. So it's really wonderful. I think that the challenge now is just, and always has been, to just deliver that experience. And it gets more challenging when we get as busy as we are, certainly. People don't recognize how important that is sometimes. I was at a tire shop the other day and getting my tires changed or something, and it was horrible. The lousy chairs and styrofoam cup with crappy coffee and coffee mate and artificial sweetener. It was like, ugh. In a Tire News magazine from 1972 on the table, right? And you know, how hard would it be and what would it cost to a business that does $1 million a year? How much would it cost them to have a nice couch, a nice espresso machine, some free cookies, and make people feel comfortable and positive that they think, hey, which tire shop am I going to go to next time? That one. It wasn't about the tires, it was just about that experience and being comfortable. And likewise, I was restoring another totem pole to go up here. And I was in the paint shop, and it was just so drab and boring. The colors were bad and everything. I said, this is a paint shop. You know, they sell paint. And I said, so I said to the lady, I said, well, you know, it's a big cinder block building painted gray, and they're selling paint. I said, man, if this was my shop, I'd have it painted like John Lennon's limo, you know, just all colors and psychedelics and stuff like that. And they said, no, head office won't let us do that. I don't know, I thought that was a strange philosophy for a paint shop. But again, it's just so many businesses that I walk into and go, boy, you know, they're not treating the best customer is the customer you already have. You know, really, man, the repeat customer is everything for me. You know, I don't care about getting a new customer. They'll come in slowly and stuff like that, but I want every single one of you to come for lunch tomorrow and bring a friend and bring a neighbor. And that's why we serve good food. And that's why we have this tin ceiling. And this is why we have all the flowers. That's why. Because we want people to be happy and positive. And then, like, we don't advertise at all. We get thousands of people a day here. My goal is to charge admission. I'm serious. You know, 1,000 people a day at $2 a head, that's $4,000 a day. That's a lot of money, right? That's $120,000 a month just in admission, hypothetically. So for that kind of money, I'll hire a juggler and a face painter and a bluegrass band, right? But I mean, that might not be achievable in January, but it's really something I think about, strangely enough. But it's all about that. You know, people want single most harvestable, or what's the word? Camaraderie is what people want. They want to be part of something. And then when they come out here, they feel like they're part of the Saskatoon farm. And they feel our energy, and they feel the effort and the passion that we put into everything. And they love it. And that's what they want. They don't have anything else. They don't have what I used to go with my parents, so every 3 nights a week, we'd go to the neighbors, and people socialized. Now we all sit in our houses, watch TV. When they come out here and they be with other people, they love that. And this is really what, they don't have religion anymore. They want to connect with other people in a positive atmosphere. That's a marketable commodity. Really marketable commodity. You can shear a sheep as often as you like, but you can only skin it once, right? I mean, these customers come back every time, and that's really what it's about. In fact, some of our biggest challenges coming up in the future are providing this ma and pa atmosphere and a nice, comfortable place when you're as busy as we are, because we're too busy, almost. Well, I mean, on a busy Saturday, it's hard to get in for lunch. There's a big lineup, and people don't want to wait in line, and then they go home disappointed because they came for lunch and they couldn't get lunch unless they're waiting in line for half an hour. So how do you deal with that? And, you know, we offer some other foods and some sandwiches, and it's difficult. And it's a good thing because everybody loves the food and everything, but it's also challenging to keep everybody happy, and it's not just the front end, it's the back end. You're busy, and the toilet flushes a lot. So I had to drill 2 new wells to have enough water. The septic guy comes once a week instead of once a year. All these other background, with more power and more electricity and more gas and everything, you can get complaints about parking lot not being paved. So you got to get a quote for $125,000 for paving. And, I go, oh, well, maybe next year, But, I mean, all these things are presenting themselves as it's not just how fast we can serve the pie. It's all that background stuff that also has to take place. Staffing the kitchen, and it's difficult, They've took away all my Mexican foreign workers, and except for Chino, of course, and a couple of these other guys. But they make it really difficult for me because you just can't get staff out here. And I've been fortunate so far, but it's challenging. So the biggest part of what I take from my last 30 years here is the lifestyle. The lifestyle has been great. Being with my family is great. All three of my kids are working here. My girl is helping in the cafe, and my guys help out in the field and out in the yard, and it's great. And of course, Karen is busy here, and Karen's sister works here, and my sister works here, and it's just a really nice family atmosphere. And that's the greatest gift of all. Great snowmobiling between the rows and between the Saskatoon rows, and where we live, and I have eternal gratitude to who's ever in charge, that I've been blessed with all this great stuff around me. And that's really the greatest thing of all, is just being with here. And Karen and I have, not a day goes by where we don't shake our heads sometime and go, wow, this is great. This is a great gig. And I say it openly and honestly that that's what I am most grateful for, is the lifestyle. Prosperity is always good too, and we've been blessed with lots of customers and some prosperity over the last few years, and it's getting easier now. It's getting better. Looking forward to it getting better in the future, and it gets easier and easier as we get older. I think it does. And then we gotta think about what's coming up, what's in the future. My latest thing is talking about building a brewery or something. I wanted to build a brewery here, overlooking the river, and hold weddings. We do about 40 weddings a year, but it's difficult because we've got to do them in here. So that means we've got to do it after 5, change all the table configurations, wash all the dishes at 2 in the morning, and be ready for business at 7 in the morning. It'd be nice to have a designated facility. So fortunately, Janice has said that I can have as much money as I want, no questions asked. Yeah, the bad part is you have to pay it back. So, well, not after this gig, but I'm sure it's I'll be well compensated for. No, we're going to build a brewery out there, and that's certainly one of the current ideas. But probably the biggest challenge for the future is just what I said earlier, just keeping the same level of happiness for my employees and for me and for our customers, to have this thing take place and still have everybody happy. If you've ever been here on a busy Saturday afternoon in May or during our picking season, it's crazy. We've had traffic jams, like serious traffic jams. We've had all kinds of strange and bizarre situations where septic backs up at 3 in the afternoon on May 24th, day-long weekend, and those are challenges. But it all works out and everything moves forward, and we're happy to be here.